My name is Shah Abbas and welcome to Ripple Effect. So the objective for Ripple Effect is to interview people who have accomplished certain achievements during their life. We hope to pass the secret to their achievement over to you. We hope that the secrets of their achievement can cause a ripple effect in your personal and your professional life itself. Before I introduce our first guest, I would like to thank three sponsors. Number one, Libas, the Indian clothing line, check them out. Number two, Spiritual Retreats. So they specialize in taking individuals on a retreat with a view of personal development, tourism, travel, and networking. Number three, without mentioning the Pete's Coffee themselves for giving us this beautiful space in sunny California and to record this podcast itself. So my first guest in Silicon Valley, his name is Rehan Mir. So his credentials goes as follows. So he is an associate partner, global head of Quotes to Cash at Wipro. He has worked for top companies like Infosys, Aptus, Deloitte, and Wipro. Rehan was a keynote speaker at Aptus in 2017. He was invited for an CEO launch at Aptus as a star performer in 2015. He has been given a list of awards. Number one, IT Project Excellence Award from Salesforce in 2014, Cisco Wingman Awards in 2011, On the Spot Awards in 2011 by Infosys, Cisco Star Awards in 2011, Collaborative Partnership Award by Infosys in 2008, Knowledge Management Champion by Infosys again in 2007. Without further ado, it's my honor to introduce our first guest, Rehan Mir. Rehan, welcome to the show on Ripple Effect. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me for the Ripple Effect conversation, Shah Abbas.
Good. So Silicon Valley, it's a sunny day. Is California always sunny like this?
Well, I think probably 9 out of 12 months in a year it's sunny. And there are those like 3 cloudy months wherein it's not so sunny. But I think compared to all the states in the US, like California is the sunniest state, I would say.
Well, first of all, Rehan, it is a humbling experience for me to interview you on a lovely afternoon. I come from UK. We get summer on a Wednesday, so that's pretty much it. So, Rehan, looking at your credentials, tell me about yourself. Tell me your story. Why Silicon Valley? So we want to know about that.
Okay. So when I started off my career back in like 2005, I completed my engineering in 2005. At that point of time, I never thought of like Silicon Valley. I think it was all about just like following the stereotype. I passed out of the college, then I looked for the jobs. Probably if there are some kind of like campus interviews, the companies who are coming onto our campus and hiring the folks. So I was like following a stereotype. I just passed out of my college and then Infosys came to our company and they were on a campus recruitment. So I had to go through like few rounds of examinations. After having gone through examinations, we had like a few rounds of interviews. Then I was like recruited at Infosys. So even until then, I was never thinking that I would be lining up in Silicon Valley. I was just like following the stereotype, completing the engineering, went through all those interviews, and then I came as a fresher. They were calling the new employees as like freshers in Infosys, and fresher in Infosys at that point of time was a big thing. It was like similar to the big 4 consulting firms that you have in US today. The kind of respect that Infosys garnered was like synonymous to those 4 companies. So getting into Infosys and walking into the campus in Bangalore was a great feeling to me, because I think with those tall buildings in place, with all those lavish swimming pools across, and the kind of attire the folks were wearing, and even the top executives like coming and speaking to us, like that was a humbling, I think a great experience.
Okay.
From then onwards, I think 5 years just went by in that stereotype. But somewhere in like 2009, I think there was a conversation which happened wherein I was pulled for a meeting wherein I had to speak directly with the stakeholders.
Oh wow.
The domain was not really known to our own project team. It was a domain called as Quote to Cash, wherein I had to go and interact with the business stakeholders in their business language. So all the kinds of folks that you would see in an Infosys environment would be super technical folks.
Yeah.
The folks who would like talk Java very easily talk C or C++ language very easily. But when it came to those business conversations, the project team did not have an individual who could directly have those conversations with the business. Now they said, hey Rehan, we know that you're not so not so interested in the technology aspect of it. We think this is going to be a good opportunity. Why don't you give it a shot? So I just went into that conversation in 2009, and the business stakeholders, when they had listened to my views, they said, okay, this person is having something different. He brings some kind of a different experience to the table. I think that is when one person known as Kathy Gilbert O'Neill, she said, okay, you need to come to California and probably give your views to us. So that is how I ended up in California back in 2010.
So you're from Bangalore?
I'm from Bangalore. I would like to call myself as a person from Bangalore.
Bangalore, yeah. Okay, brilliant. So Bangalore, India. So you're looking forward for the World Cup?
I am looking forward to the World Cup. So in fact, when I came back from the office today and I saw that some upsets have taken place, Pakistan has beaten New Zealand. So I'm glad that there's going to be a strong fight in this World Cup. I think until last week there was not much action happening,
yes.
But now the tournament has gotten much closer. So really glad and passionate about watching the rest of the matches.
Who do you think is going to win the World Cup?
Well, I think being an Indian cricket fan, I would say.
You want India to win?
I want India to win.
Well, viewers,
I feel India is going to win.
If you're watching this and you're from India, all the best. If you're from England, all the best as well. Anywhere you're watching it, all the best. Rehan, how is that first conversation like with that first director who's very senior stakeholder? Were you nervous? Were you taking a step back? So there are individuals out there who's watching this and they see a CEO or they see a stakeholder and they get nerves. What if they say something wrong? What if they sound like they're treated as an idiot? So what was going in your mind when you spoke and what did you do to overcome your nerves to have that conversation?
So I think frankly, when I went into that conversation, I never thought that, okay, there are going to be people who are going to be more intelligent than me.
Okay.
There are going to be people who are going to be more elder to me. Or there are going to be people who would not like my viewpoints. I went there with an intention saying that, okay, whatever I think is going to be the right thing to be told in that meeting, I would like tell my views. Rather than like holding off on my views and then coming back to my project team at Infosys and telling them, you know what, we could have told this and we could have proposed this, those kind of backdoor conversations. I went there with an intention saying that, okay, I should put my views on the table. So I think I was consciously not nervous about it. But in the hindsight, had I been nervous, the story would have been different. Probably I wouldn't have landed up in California.
But you were not afraid?
I wasn't afraid, to be honest.
Okay, so I think the big takeaway is just don't be afraid. Just, I guess, sometimes just jump in it and just take that opportunity, right?
I think so sometimes I think the element of nervousness is also good to be there because like you would be grounded. You wouldn't be overconfident of like doing certain things. So certain element of nerves should be there. But I would say like you should know what your potential is and you should be out there in the open to let that potential be executed.
Brilliant.
So it's like your potential coming into action and to actual action, I would say.
So a gentleman from Bangalore, yourself, is living the life in California. So Rehan, looking at your impressive resume, amazing achievements and huge award successes you've had so far, what is the secret to your achievements and how did you get to where you are right now?
I think the secret to my success, well, first of all, I would like to tell myself that I'm still on that journey towards being successful. I wouldn't call myself a successful person yet because I feel success is again a journey and it's not a destination. Because if I tell myself that I've been successful, then I would probably start boasting about my success and not be open to new opportunities. Coming to your question as to what are those secret recipes for success, I wouldn't say that we can document as a secret recipe for success as such. Success is a relative term and it depends on the individual. For me, honestly, I think I always challenge myself to raise my bar high. I mean, to raise my expectations on a different level. And I never liked the fact that I was getting into some kind of a comfort zone. The moment I realized that I was getting into some kind of a comfort zone, I used to tell myself, okay, I have to do something different. So the very fact that I was like honestly and consciously starting to see where I was and what I need to do, I think that made me push my limits and take on to the next set of challenges, which have made me kind of like respectable more in the marketplace.
So challenges, so you've set the bar up high. Once you achieve it, you want to push your bar up and never let it get to you. So that's pretty much the secrets for success there.
I wouldn't document that, but those are the secret kind of like elements that I have like figured out on my own personality.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So you've worked with top companies like Infosys, Deloitte, and Wipro. So tell us more about how does an individual, anyone who's watching this right now, wants to work in these top firms. What is a framework that you would say an individual should use to get a chance in working in those companies?
So I think the framework that I came through was like through campus recruitment. I believe the campus hiring is still happening in India. The tech sector is booming. So I think once you have gotten into a company like Infosys, the framework would be that you constantly challenge yourself. You constantly put out the views to your management. You be a person who is like leading the pack rather than like just following the instructions that are given to you by your manager. Try to ask the question saying that, okay, why can't we do it differently? Why can't we ask the questions to the client differently? Why can't we propose these kind of like things to the client? Don't you think this is going to be valuable? Now, if you just listen to the instructions what the manager has to give you, you would probably be a note taker, I would say.
Yes.
You'd just be a follower. Okay, hey, Mr. Manager, you're giving me this requirement. I'll do it by the end of the day and submit the report for you. So what's happening in this entire transaction is like you're just being a follower, and the visibility is not being given to you. Who's getting the visibility? The top management at Infosys is getting the visibility. Your manager is getting that visibility. He's being respected in the eyes of the client. But you as a person, Rehan Mir as a person, is not known to the client because he's not in the frontal line of the client interfacing. So I would say like the framework is like you get started in companies like this, and be confident of the kind of work that you're doing. Be passionate about it. Come up with your views and tell it to your upper management. And even in your client conversation, be vocal about what you think the client should be doing. I think that will automatically create a customized framework for you. Rather than saying, okay, I want to follow a framework, you will start building your own framework.
Understand. So when an individual is watching this and they're always afraid about speaking their mind or their knowledge, obviously you're quite good at public speaking, I can tell. You've been a speaker, you have hosted a couple of shows, I've seen that myself, so which is good. So what's your secret behind public speaking? How did you get this good?
So I think public speaking is probably there in my family's veins. My grandfather was a public speaker. When I say public speaker, he used to go and talk in those religious meets. We used to have the concept of majalises, wherein he used to go and recite those majalises. He used to recite the incidents that happened in the history of Islam, and I think people used to get some valuable insights on the religion of Islam, and also on how Islam could be actually brought into our daily lives.
Wow.
So him being a speaker, then with my father also following his footsteps, him also being a speaker on the religious aspect of it, I think somehow it has come into my veins. I used to see these people right from a very young age.
Okay.
And probably that is something.
So you've just looked at people, they speak and they've learned. That's what you've done.
I think that is one factor, but at the same time, I would say I have listened to some good TEDx speakers.
Okay. Any names you want to mention?
I think I have listened to some conversations by David Schwartz, and I think I have listened to some of the conversations from I think Robert Kiyosaki. I think I have listened to a lot of folks. I think it's difficult to single out any say a particular person, but having seen those people, the way they talk, the way they communicate, and the way they convince the audience, I think that was something inspirational to me.
It's something, you know what they say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Exactly.
Right, so I think something same for myself as well. Start listening to YouTube videos, speakers, keynote speakers, and just start developing it. So Rehan, you were a young kid from Bangalore to Silicon Valley, okay? From India to Silicon Valley, okay? To all those young Indians watching that right now, okay? Because you've done this before. People in their schools, universities, colleges, or just graduated, young professionals. And if they wish to work in Silicon Valley one day, what are those 5 things that you would want to have, or you would need, or you would want to give back for someone to work in Silicon Valley?
Okay, so number one, I would say to land up a good job in the Silicon Valley, I think you need to see what are those factors wherein US would require, a place like California would need to hire people from outside. Now, I think those are the key technological skills because of which there is a shortage of like that kind of a skill set in US, California to be specific.
What are those skill sets?
I think the skill set that you're looking, first of all, I should be very honest that there's a lack of technological skills. Hence, we have like abundance of people coming in from countries like India and also like China. And I think every fourth person that you would meet in California will probably be an Indian. That goes to show the fact that you have like so much shortage of like skilled people in the technology. Then there's also, I think, room for like consultants to be coming in here, like agnostic of the technology. If they have like good skill set in terms of like a particular domain, like if folks are good at the financial domain, if they can come and like convince the clients here as to what they should be doing, what kind of a strategy they should be taking. So those kind of like, there's a shortage of such kind of a skill set, and I think those will be beneficial here.
Okay. So anything else you want to say to that? So what is any key things that an individual needs to know that they can come back? So there are 5 things. You mentioned 2. Anything else?
So apart from that, I think the skills that you need to have in a place like California is definitely good communication. Because communication
skills,
yeah,
absolutely.
I would say that client interfacing is another skill that I would say. Yeah, because like when you come on to the conversations over here in the Silicon Valley, you're talking to some of the brilliant and top minds. You're not talking to some minds who are run-of-the-mill people, right? You're talking to some people who are doing innovations. You would also probably end up speaking to some higher executives in a company. So I would say to talk to those executives and to be able to convince those executives, you need to have those street smart communication skills.
Smart communication skills.
Yeah,
okay.
and listening skills, I would say.
Okay.
You need to, it's not just like, so people from our side of the globe, that is like India, tend to think, okay, if I do engineering degree or if I do a certification in Java or C++, you know what, I can land up a job in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Yes, you can land up a job in Silicon Valley, but when it comes to sustaining the job and growing up the corporate hierarchy, I don't think so. You would just be sustainable with that one skill set. So you need to have technological skills, yes, at the back of your hand, but it would be great to be having these kind of like consultative skills, these kind of like communication skills, client interfacing skills, and listening skills. I mean, if you're just a talker and if you're not able to listen to the problem statements that the people have to give you, you wouldn't be able to really convince them.
Yes.
You'll just be like talking, it'll be a monologue. It wouldn't be a dialogue, it would be a monologue when you're just like doing the talking. So I would say these are the 5 critical things that one should possess. And I'm not saying that you need to be A+ in all these 5 skills. You can have like different grades of like these skills, but if you have a mindset to be learning and improving on these skills, I think you should be you would be landing up a great job in Silicon Valley. I think well-respected.
So I think back in UK, back in London, having a qualification or the experience is okay. It's basic. It's a given. Everyone has that these days. If someone is growing up in India or someone is growing up in anywhere in the world, and having those skills is a basic, I think we need to also have an edge to yourself. What makes you who you are? What makes you unique?
Agreed.
What makes you you? That is what an employer is looking for. Not just an employer, it's about your personable skills, approachable, the charm, the charisma, the friendliness, the vibe. You know, the chilled out, the more relaxed, the positive energy yourself.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely. I think Rehan, finally, now before we wrap this up, one big question I want to ask you. So you have been in Silicon Valley and you have achieved so much in a short period of time. So congratulations on that, and well done for it. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years' time?
In the next 10 years' time, I see myself solving some problem statements that are needed in today's world. I'm envisioning myself to be solving something which would be a potential need 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
It might not be a need currently. It may become a need 10 years down the lane. So I'm not really looking at doing something on the technology front, but I'm trying to see what are the kind of like problem statements that exist in our world today. It may be related to any kind of an industry. It might be like related to like let's say manufacturing.
Yeah.
It can be related to technology. It can be related to airspace, or it can be related to any hospitality industry also. So one of the things that I have like currently done is like I have like done some significant kind of proof of concepts in the hospitality industry by making some business proposals to some of the top people in the hospitality industry in India. And that is something which I'm passionate about, and the next I think 5 to 10 years I'll be very passionate to pursue those.
Brilliant.
As well.
So Rehan, thank you very much, Rehan. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed that interview with Rehan Mir at Silicon Valley. One key point for me to take away is to find out who I am, understand who I am, understand who you are. I hope today's interview has caused an effect in your life. If you're watching this, please like, share, and let's cause a ripple effect to everyone who watches this. Thank you, God bless you, and see you soon.